Hey, it's Rav. You're watching The Everyday Investor, the hottest real estate investment show in the world. That's right. I said it. I don't care who knows it. We've got a fantastic show lined up because we're going to talk about how to make money in student rentals. And I have my good friend Erwin Zito on the show. He's a savvy investor. We call him Mr. Hamilton. That's right, MrHamilton.ca if you want to check him out. But he's well-versed in many different investments, and today he's going to teach us one of his favorite strategies, along with a few friends that he's brought with him, Nick and Margaret. They're on the show as well. And we're going to learn how they're making a great return on their investment by investing in student rentals. Remember, those are the 4 questions that you always want to ask. Number 1, what's the return on my investment? Number 2, when do I get that return on my investment? Number 3, what is the cash amount needed? And number 4, what is the risk, the worst case scenario? Erwin, thank you so much, my friend, for being on the show.
Thanks for having me here, Rad.
It's always great to have you on the show. I love to talk to people who are more interested in spiritual matters, benevolent matters, family matters, and realize that money, you know, it's just a tool to be able to help in such things. Tell me a little bit about your latest project and when it comes to the world of benevolence and charity. It's always exciting to hear what you've been doing.
Yeah, I'm the president of what we call the Hamilton Basket Brigade.
The Hamilton Basket Brigade?
Yes.
Okay.
This Christmas will be our 3rd year. Last year we fed 425 families. This year we fed already 300.
That's fantastic.
Which equates to about, so just this year alone that equates to about 1,500 men, women, and children.
Yeah.
People that are in need. So we go grocery shopping, put together care packages, and deliver a holiday dinner to people's front door.
I think that's amazing. And, you know, I don't even have to get the answer from you, but if I were to ask you, you know, how's the success of your business doing? You know, you seem so busy doing other things. I know it's only increased, and that's not the reason why you do it. But when we do things that are pure and meaningful and, you know, have a bigger meaning, something that's bigger than ourselves, if you will, all the other things usually fall in place because there's no greater feeling than to be able to give and help people. Wouldn't you say?
Wholeheartedly agree. Like, I feel this is my purpose in life, is to help people. Business has been good to us, and Hamilton's been good to us, and this is just how we give back to the community. Yeah,
that's fantastic. So we're going to talk a little bit today about making money in student rentals, but talk to us about Hamilton in general. You know, we do lots of different shows. We don't really do shows in a geographic manner. I mean, people are watching all over Southern Ontario this show, and thank you so much for watching. But let's talk a little bit about Hamilton. You know, I say you can make money almost anywhere. It just depends on what strategy you use. But if I were to do the conventional buy and hold, anywhere in this nation, I probably would be putting my money in the Hamilton area. And you've taught me a lot of things of why I should be doing that. But why don't we touch a little bit for a minute or so before we cut to break here about what's so great about Hamilton?
What's so great about Hamilton? If you compare to any city on the outskirts of the GTA, Hamilton has a wonderful restaurant nightlife scene. The millennials love it. All my younger friends love it. For like the restaurants, like you can actually pay, you only pay like $1 an hour for parking. You can actually get parking. You can actually get a table versus you have these challenges in Toronto and places like that where you can't necessarily get to where you want to go. So great, huge gentrification.
What does that mean, gentrification?
A lot of investments going in, and it's a grassroots thing. It's not so much politicians or anything like that. It's the people. People love Hamilton.
They're investing in their own city.
Exactly.
They're fixing up their own city.
Exactly.
Transit is huge. You're having
huge.
some great opportunities there
Yep.
to be able to get to downtown Toronto right from your own backyard, living in Hamilton. It's and the economy is great there.
Yeah, economy's been growing. It's a slight bedroom community for the GTA as well. We just had the GO train open up last summer. Right after the Pan Am Games. We're getting another GO train station in Stony Creek. They're voting on LRT, which likely will go through.
Yeah.
Light rail transit. So that'll be that's a $1 billion investment of government money.
And then the topic of the show, you know, when we called you and the producers called you, you said, hey, we've got to talk about student housing because obviously we've got McMaster there. On the mountain, is there another school
Mohawk
there?
College.
Mohawk College on the mountain. No, it's fantastic, and I only seeing it. You know, the money hasn't already been made. People are continuing to make money investing in Hamilton.
Mm-hmm. That's true, and you know, I think I'm sure all of your other guests have talked to here as well. Like affordability in Toronto GTA, it's you know, average GTA house is $900,000.
Yeah.
Our
$1
average
million for detached, over $1 million, yeah.
Right, our average freehold is still under 470. That's
Wow.
average, right?
Wow.
So we invest below that price point.
So you can pick up product in Hamilton, which is only 45 minutes away, an hour away, even less if you're taking GO Train, for half the price, for less than half the price.
Yes.
Right? And what I tell people is that nurse in Toronto has the same income as she does in Hamilton. And so our purchase price for the product we're buying, housing, is a lot less, but our rents are still up there, and so we can command a great return. Well, listen, when we come back from the break, I want to hear more thoughts on how we can make money in the student rental world. So excited to have my friend Erwin Zito on the show. Just a wealth of knowledge, and his friends are coming as well to teach us how they're making money investing in student rentals. The Everyday Investor continues in a moment. You don't want to go anywhere. Whenever you're considering to invest in real estate, always ask the 4 questions to start. Number 1, what's the return on investment? Number 2, when do I get that return, along with the money that I put in? Number 3, what's the minimum cash amount needed? And number 4, what is the risk in the worst case scenario? Hey, it's Rob. Welcome back to the Everyday Investor. Today we're going to learn how to make money investing in student rentals, a very hot topic. People are making lots of money doing it. Make sure you get your calculator, your pen, your paper, all that kind of good stuff. If you miss any of the show, go to rogerstv.com. Erwin Zito, a good friend of mine, he's the one that's going to teach us how to do this, along with some friends that he has brought with him. But before we do all that, we want to talk to our mortgage specialist extraordinaire, Carmen Campanero. Over to you, Miss Carmen.
Thanks, Rav. Well, today we're going to talk about student rentals. For all of you guys out there that are looking to buy an income property and you're having no success getting financing approved on a student rental, there are definitely programs available today to offer financing on student rentals at 80% of the purchase price. Interest rates are slightly higher, and they will need a full appraisal for the whole process. And when I say interest rates are a little higher, they're maybe in the 3 to 4% range. So please don't get discouraged. Continue to source out your student rental income properties because they're very, very strong on a cash flow basis, and I think they're very favorable. So go ahead and buy those student rentals. Back to you, Rav.
Thank you, Carmelita. It's always great to hear your voice. Look forward to hearing what you have to say next week. Erwin, Carmen knows she's the money girl. She, lends out money. She's got a whole mortgage outfit there, Pro Funds. A lot of things have changed in the mortgage world in the last few weeks here. What are your thoughts on that? Maybe kind of cover a few. Basically, interest rates have gone up 2.5% without really going up. People have to qualify at a higher number. What's the unintended consequences, if you will, of that? What are your thoughts?
Oh, I think the biggest unintended consequence, it might have been intended, but I think it's actually for the smaller lenders, how they'll no longer be able to do refinances for you and I.
Yeah.
It'll just be the charter banks, the large banks. From an investment standpoint of view, not a heck of a lot.
Yeah.
In the markets that we operate in, which is usually the periphery of the GTA, I think what's going to happen is the 10% of the GTA who can no longer afford the GTA because of the new mortgage rules, they'll just come out.
They'll come out. So it'll be great. It will be great for places like East Toronto, Barrie, Orillia, Hamilton. Obviously.
And we'll see more tenants. We'll see more tenants because of it, because they can no longer buy a house. So what's the next step?
Okay, great. It was great to have your wife on the show because, a lot of times when we talk strategy, obviously we want to talk accounting and we want to talk what's the best way to structure it. So, say hi to your wife for me, Cherry, and you have 2 small children
yes.
as well. So when I asked her, she said 3. She said, Erwin. So, no, but no. I mean, as young as you look, you've been in this game for quite a while now. And one of your favorite strategies, you've done many. We share together. We do some land development together. You do buy and holds. You do buy, a fix up sell. I guess in other words, people call that a flip. You have to really know what you're doing with that. But one of your favorites is a rent to owns you've done, which we covered last week. But one of your favorites are student rentals. So talk to us a little bit before we bring Nick and Margaret on the show here, and they're going to really give us one of their deals and show us the return on investment. Talk generally about how student rentals work. For the viewers at home, they're thinking, wow, that's a lot of tenancy. That's a lot of work. It means I'm always finding tenants for my property is kind of what's perceived. You've taught me, Rav, that's not necessarily true. So talk a little bit about the pros and cons of student rentals and why you love them so much.
Okay, so pros, there's not many strategies where you can get more rent for a property than student rentals. Other pros are, like in the context of Hamilton.
I'm sorry, what you mean by that is, if I had a home and I had one tenant, the only way to increase the rent, and you can't here in Ontario, I mean, we're capped at what we can increase, is to rent out to more people. So if I can have 2 tenants for 1 furnace, 3 tenants, 5 tenants for 1 furnace, then I'm going to make a lot more money with rent, and therefore my cash flow will go up significantly.
Correct.
Okay.
And to give you an example, our pretty typical rent in Hamilton for a house is around $1,800.
$1,800 for a typical rent in Hamilton.
Yes.
Okay.
If I were to rent it to, like, say, 5 students,
yeah,
I'd charge them probably like $2,500 for the house.
$2,500. Okay. So about $500 a room.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's the pro. I can get more rent for the same property.
Which is significant. I mean, that's $700 a month. That's $8,400. I'm making $8,000 to $9,000 more a year by doing that strategy.
Yeah. And another pro is we've seen it in the headlines pretty often now. There are professional tenants out there who are out there to live off of landlords like us.
Yeah.
To live for free. And the nature of a student is they're there for a finite period of time to go to school, right? And also, like, you have kids, I have kids. We budget to afford their schooling and their residency, right? So their parents have money to pay us rent.
Yeah.
And even if they don't, even if the student themselves doesn't, we still have their parents guarantee the rent and damages.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
So it's a great point that you make. We want our children, if it's worthwhile, to go to school. We save up for that. What would it cost to live on res at Mac, would you say? To be able to live there monthly at McMaster, like right on the residence.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be significantly more than $500 a month.
It's more, and also most schools have a policy that only first-year students can live in residence.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and then after that, they need the space in order because the first years always want to live in residence, so they're close to their classes.
Yeah.
And the schools want them all out because they need more new first years to move in so they can grow their student base.
So there's a demand. There's a demand in a city that has a university or attended college. There's a demand for housing for students. Then that's what I hear you saying, and it's backed by the parents. You make sure that these checks are backed by the parents.
And it's rare for you to get guarantors otherwise. Someone else to sign off basically that you'll get paid. Yeah,
it's a great point. Okay, and in your experience, the demographics, what do you find in terms of boys, girls, mix? Just kind of some brief thoughts. I know that I'm not gonna put you on the spot and give you an opportunity because I know you're not a prejudiced person, but you've had history and experience, and people have talked.
Yeah.
What do you see out there in terms of?
My advice is always to target tenants that are in the more competitive programs. So like your comps, computer science, your engineering, like your nursing, like these people go to school so they can go and help people.
I never heard that before. So rather than somebody who's just, I don't know what I want to do with my life, I'll just go get a general, arts degree or whatever the case is. You're saying when somebody's, needs these marks for their profession, those are the ones that you would do because there's a lot less or almost zero partying, things like that. Okay.
Yeah, I have a house full of concurrent education students.
You do?
Brock University students. And they're wonderful tenants. They're always appreciative. The house is spotless. Like, they're wonderful tenants, and I hope they never leave.
And so Brock is where? St. Catharines?
St. Catharines.
So you have a property there?
Yep, 3 properties there, yep.
4 tenants, 5 tenants?
And that one, 6.
6.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and they're wonderful kids. And again, a concurrent education, so they will become teachers when they
Yeah.
graduate.
Yeah.
And it's a tough program. They have to keep, I believe, over 80% averages, so there's no time to mess around.
So that program, back in my day we called that an honors. You need an honors degree, and that was 4 years. Is it the same thing? It's about a 4-year degree.
I think there's more, because I think they'd have to do it undergrad, and they immediately go into teachers'
So
college.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So some of these properties, have you had these people year after year after year?
Yeah, and if they're good tenants, and because I think we are good landlords, they just refer their friends to come to take over the lease when they're
Fantastic.
done.
Good for you. On that particular property, what do you charge a room?
That one, $450.
$450, and it's 5 tenants.
Yeah, but we actually just charge for the house. They divide it however they want. It's $2,700 for the house.
Yeah.
You guys divvy it up however you like.
Okay, that's more than $450. Oh no, it's 6. You said, yeah. Okay, so it's $2,700 for the house, and the purchase price on that house?
I paid $235 for it.
What?
5 years ago.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Because, I like to follow the 1% rule, but you can't follow it in the GTA. You've just proved me wrong.
Yeah.
You actually can follow it. The 1% rule is that, whatever your purchase price is, 1% should be the monthly rent. So if he bought a property for, $230,000, then we should be able to get $2,300 a month. Well, he's far exceeding that with $2,700 a month.
Yeah.
So you're actually proving you can still do that here. I know we can do that in Atlanta and Florida and Phoenix and, places like that, and I have friends that do it. But to be able to follow that 1% rule here, that's fantastic, Erwin. And there's no way you would be able to do that. Where do you find $2,700 a month rent with a $235,000 purchase price? The only way you do that, you're proving your point, is by student rentals.
Yeah, and that's why it was a popular strategy for us and amongst many of our clients. Like our clients own somewhere north of 70 student rentals. So we're well versed in it.
Yeah.
We coach them through the process as well. And our clients have been very successful doing it.
So do you have, is there a management company that we set up in place? Do we do it on our own? What do you see most people doing when they have a student rental?
Again, it's just like any other investor. It really depends on what
Personal
your plans
preference.
are. Yeah,
Yeah.
like ours are in corporations.
Yeah.
For anyone who's for sure serious of buying, again, it's a case by case. It depends on their income.
So yours are in your corporations.
Yours are in our
But I'm
corporation.
saying, who manages them? Do you have a property manager?
Yeah, we have a property manager.
Your property manager manages it. So this is a full-on business.
Yeah.
Erwin gets to enjoy his wife and his children and be able to give back to the community like you've been doing, because you take a little bit of that cash flow and you hire a property manager to do it.
Yeah.
So how does it work? What should I be looking for to be able to pay a property manager?
It can range 8 to 12%, and they usually charge separately for refilling it to find you new tenants.
So 8 to 12% of the gross rent.
Yeah.
So you're getting $2,700 a month. So it could be around $270 a month.
Yeah.
And then there's a separate fee if they have to refill.
Yes.
But it's not what people think in terms of refilling. You've had people there for a long time.
Yeah.
What about the summer? Are they still paying for the summer?
My tenants are, yeah.
Your tenants are still paying for the summer. So their leases from when to when usually?
From 1st of May to the end of April the following year.
1st of May. And that extra 2 months, they can live there if they want, obviously. They go back to their families if they want. But what it does is it guarantees them a spot to be able to live there the next year.
Correct. And
Rather than to have to keep finding every year a new
Correct.
property for 10 months.
And that's why the beginning of the lease is May 1st. So we front end load the summer.
Got it.
They can't just take off at the end.
You're just not a handsome face, are you? Very smart, very smart. I like that. Okay, great. I think that's the only type of investment vehicle I've not done. I've invested in mortgages and land development, and buy and holds and flips and assignments and leased homes and done it all, never lost. I never got into the student rental game, but man, does it ever sound attractive, especially the way that you're doing it when you're saying it's incorporated, which really that's neither here nor there. It's just what you and your wife have decided to do in terms of how to best save money so you can give back to society.
We have commercial student rental insurance as well, so everything's above board.
Everything's above more commercial. So what is that? What that's in case of what? Commercial. Case of fire.
It's
all that?
specific to student rentals.
So
That's a mistake that many investors will make. They'll just get like regular rental insurance.
Yeah.
But I get specific student rental insurance, so like full disclosure. It costs more money, obviously.
Yeah.
But we like to do things above board.
No. Listen, I think it's fantastic. I'm sure you're doing a very well. I look forward to talking to a few of your friends that you've brought with you, that you've helped along the way here. Who are we going to talk to, Nick or Margaret?
I think it's ladies first. Margaret.
Ladies first. Margaret's on the show. You don't want to go anywhere. We're going to talk to Margaret, and we're going to learn how she is making money, 40, 50%, whatever it is, in student rentals. The Everyday Investor continues in a moment. Thanks for watching. Did you know that in most cases, student tenants turn over every year? Most move out April 30th, and new students move in on May 1st, so you don't lose rent over the summer months. Hey, it's Rav. You're watching The Everyday Investor. Today we're talking about how to make money investing in student rentals. Erwin Zito, my guest co-host, with me today. He's brought his friend Margaret Plouffe is on the show. Margaret, it's great to have you here.
Hi, great to be here.
Very excited to have you. I heard you have not just one, not two. We're not content with even 3, Erwin, but you have 4 student rentals to date. And we keep going. Fantastic! Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about why student rentals. Why do you enjoy them? I know you have a family. I know that you kind of like the maternal feel. You used to be a teacher, all that kind of stuff. But why student rentals? I mean, don't you find them difficult? Don't you find them headachy, or are they a breeze?
Well, they are probably a little bit more work than other investment vehicles, but I enjoy the demographic.
Yeah.
My kids are that age. They're both in university, so it just kind of works well. We're comfortable with it. My husband and I both self-manage the properties. So
Oh, you do? Okay.
So it's part of, it's just natural. It's kind of, I would say my maternal instinct might help a little bit, but also just being responsive. The students like that, and it works well.
And I'm sure the cash flow doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt.
So with 4 properties, how many students do we have total?
27.
27 students we have total.
That's right.
And that's cash flowing per month. And so for you watching at home, cash flow is the margin, the difference between the rent that's coming in and all your expenses. And so that piece is called cash flow, and we want to make sure we're making cash flow because that's what allows us to go on a date once in a while. I think you're going on maybe more than a date, perhaps a vacation for the year.
Margaret just got back from Paris.
Oh, she just got back from Paris.
That's going to give a wrong impression here.
No. I want to inspire people. Hey, listen, the show's called what it is called for a reason. We're just everyday people. It's not easy for someone it's simple, but not easy for somebody to have 27 different students. It has to be planned. You get mentored by the different people in your life, such as an Erwin Zito, all that kind of good stuff. But what you're cash flowing with all this, roughly how much? Approximately?
Between $4,500 and $5,000
per month.
Per month, but sadly you can't pay for groceries with the pay down and that kind of thing. So I would say the good thing about it is that it's kind of all wrapped up, and I can't touch it, and it's a future nest egg. So.
Oh, so you take that cash flow and you actually put it into buying more properties or whatever the case is.
That's sort of what has sort of happened in the last 4 years. I guess we've kind of just bought one a year.
Listen, that's fantastic. That's how you keep going. So it's not like, because people are watching the show and they're thinking, well, where's she getting all the money for the down payments? Well, you're taking that cash flow. We're not necessarily getting rid of our day job per se, or your husband's not.
No, we're both working full time.
You're both working full time to be able to do this. But if you didn't want to, Erwin, we're enjoying $55,000, $60,000 a year just with cash flow. if one decided to do that. So I think that's commendable. It's inspiring. It's very cool, especially when the average Canadian salary is just approaching $50,000. You're exceeding that just on the cash flow of your property. So that's fantastic. So can we take a look at your one of your properties so we can show the viewers at home exactly how the numbers work?
Sure. I thought I'd maybe show the latest one.
Okay.
As we found, as we were going through, it was getting harder to find good properties. I mean, property prices are going up, and our niche market is to have a very nice student rental. We try to
You would want your boys to live in it, right?
It's exactly modeled after my children, my daughter and my son.
Yeah.
And
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah.
That's okay. So we ended up doing something a little different this time. We found a property that needed a lot of work.
Okay.
And I guess as we progressed, we increased the amount of reno we did with each property. So this property was...
Where is this one located?
It's in Hamilton.
It's in Hamilton, okay. And so what was the purchase price?
The purchase price was $325,000.
Okay, so you bought this property for $325,000. Okay.
And because it needed so much work,
Yeah.
we didn't want to finance it right away, in the sense that we accessed some private funding to be able to purchase it and get all the renos done.
So you borrowed money from a guy like Rav. So Rav lent you some money. So how much money did you borrow?
Well, we had to borrow $325,000 plus we needed money to cover the closing costs, and we budgeted for $100,000 reno.
Oh, all of this was borrowed from a private investor.
Family members.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, so you didn't go to the bank at all for any of this. So $325,000 plus how much?
The reno budgeted, and that was about right, $100,000.
$100,000 for renos, and then
And of course the $5,000 closing costs.
plus $5,000 to close. Okay, so altogether we were borrowed $430,000.
That's correct.
Okay, so we borrowed $430,000. Okay, then what?
So then we did the reno,
Yeah.
did everything you could think of and then some. It needed HVAC, it needed a new roof, it needed new plumbing, everything.
Sewer.
Yeah, it had a lead intake, water, which isn't a good thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of work.
How much were you out of pocket monthly for the $430,000 that you borrowed?
I don't have that number for you.
Okay. Do you know what percent you paid on this?
Well, thanks to the family member, my dad mainly, it was he didn't actually let me pay him any interest. So
No
that
interest.
worked out
So was
well.
this a free loan?
Yeah,
But short term.
But I also borrowed out of my LOC, which was
Line of credit?
my HELOC. So that would have been at probably 3.25 last year or 3.5. I can't remember exactly.
Okay. And how much did you borrow from the line of credit?
Probably probably about 180.
About 180. And how long did this whole project take?
About 3 months.
Oh, about 3 months. So really nothing. So what's that? She borrowed $200,000. Let's say Erwin at 3.5%. That's $7,000 a year, but she only needed it for 3 months. So $7,000 divided by 4.
Or you could say
Less than
2.
$2,000.
Yeah. So it actually cost you $2,002, and then you had a free loan. Okay.
Well, I mean, thanks, Dad.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Listen,
Yeah.
this is people are watching the show and they want to know that. Oh, okay, maybe I can get a
Well, he's
loan
retired, and I guess he saw what we were doing for the 3 previous
Exactly,
ones,
it's
and
your
I guess
fourth
he
one.
trusts me. So.
Okay, great. So now what happened?
So
You're
at
in
this
for
point,
$430,000.
right now at this point, I'm trying to get the bank to finance it.
Yeah.
And we had an appraiser in, and his appraisal only came up to $400,000.
Okay.
I am convinced, and I would say that you would agree with me that that was low, but I think the banks are pretty conservative. So
Okay.
we'll take it.
Okay.
Okay,
So $400,000?
So now I've got financing based on a $400,000 price, so
Yeah.
I have to put 80 or 20% down
Yeah.
for that.
So that's $80,000.
So 80,000.
So you had to put in $80K
The bank gave me the 320 based on 80%
for the mortgage.
of the
yeah,
400.
for the mortgage. But what about the other $30,000 you have to pay back to somebody?
Right. So I'm still in for the 30 plus the extra.
5 for closing.
For the extra what, sorry?
Well, I still have the 5 for closing and 25,000 in excess that the bank came short in terms of
That's right. So
appraisal.
you have the 30 plus
that's include the 25 for reno and
Yeah.
5 for closing.
Okay, and say the 2 here. So really you're in the property for about 30K or so now, correct? Because you got to pay back,
well,
plus
and
the
also
80.
plus the
Plus
80,
the 80,
yeah.
yeah. So we're in the property now
For
for
110.
110K.
That's right.
That's what you're in the property for.
That's right.
Okay, does that make sense, everyone? We're good? Okay, teach us how we make money now. So, how did you make money? You made
Okay.
money on the up, on the cash flow, and somebody paying down mortgage, correct?
That's right.
Okay, so how much money on the up?
I would say, based on my colleagues, I mean, it's a small community, we know each other well, I would say the property was now worth, addressed to the nines, at 450.
450. So you made 50 grand on the up.
Today?
Well, not today, but at
Well, let's just use. You're saying it's a lot
no,
more.
I was in for. Remember, the cost. Oh, the cost was about
430, and you're saying so 450, so 20 grand.
20, that's right.
Okay, so you're in there for 20 grand on the inflation. Erwin says you're very conservative with that number, but let's just use that number, 20 grand. How much cash flow on this particular property?
The cash flow would be 9,600 a month. Oh, a year.
A year, yeah, that's okay. So let's just to make numbers easy, we'll say 10 grand right there. And then how much are they paying down your mortgage?
Well, I would say 10,000 because I'm paying down the main mortgage and the HELOC that I used to finance my
Finance
portion.
the up there, okay.
So we're looking at 10K pay down.
Okay, so I'm at about 40K and you are in for 110. So we're touching about the, in and around the 40% range. Correct? I've got 20, 10, 10, that gives me 40. You're only in for...
We talk about the appreciation,
the natural, yeah, I gave you here on the 20,000.
Oh, and
You
the
forced
forced appreciation, but what about the passive appreciation?
Okay, sure, let's put that in there. What did
Well,
you...
I put 5% because I think Hamilton's doing well.
So that's another $20,000.
Yeah.
So that's another $20,000 on appreciation. So here we are at $60,000 on your 110, and that's how we're getting close to 60%. The calculator says...
That's about 50
How do you like my
something.
big calculator here? That's good. So we got $60,000. Divide that by $110,000, because that's how, folks, we find out our return on our investment. And that doesn't sound right because it's not working. 60,000
It's 55.
divided by 110. What do you say, Aaron?
And at 55.5.
How come you're so smart? 54.5. So you're making an ROI of 55%. Not too bad. So what that means is you put $1 out, you're getting back 55 cents. This is what you actually kind of did here. So that's fantastic. This sounds a little scary, to be able to borrow all this money, do everything that you did to refi. Of course, the appraisers, I find that, or when they come in lower, a lot lower than what the market value is for this. But Margaret, I think this is absolutely fantastic. I'm sure you're, do you do most of the work, or, in terms of managing, taking care of, finding, or is it a joint venture with your husband, or?
We're a really good team in that sense. I do the paperwork, the communication with the clients. My husband is the handyman / dealing with the handyman person.
Yeah, contractors, all that kind of
That's
stuff.
right.
Well, listen, I think that's fantastic. Are we going to do number 5?
We're going to hold on for a bit.
We're going to hold on.
Yeah.
I think 27 students is enough.
For now.
You had a very large and cozy Thanksgiving. Great to have you on the show,
Thank
Margaret. You don't want to go anywhere. We're not done yet. We're going to learn how to continue to make money in a rent-to-own scenario. Thanks for watching. Did you know that many students in competitive programs do not have the time for partying and mischief? Some students can make the best tenants. Hey, it's Rob. Welcome back to the Everyday Investor. We're talking about how to make money in student rentals. We are here with my good friend Erwin Zito, and he's brought his friend Nick DiTomaso's on the show. Nick, great to have you here.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Yes. So you are an investor. You live in the west side in
Burlington.
Burlington, Ontario, and you have some student rentals. We're going to look at a student rental today, but I'll ask the same question that I asked Erwin, that I asked Margaret. Why student rentals? I mean, that's the only area that I never got into. I used to say because I'm really smart, but now I'm thinking because I'm really lazy. I'm not sure, but you can actually still have a life, Erwin, and get into student rentals if you design it right and you have people that are managing it for you. I always kind of thought that, I'd have to do a lot of work myself. Now Margaret chooses to do it, and that's kind of, a job for her, and she's making money doing it because otherwise she would have to pay somebody else. But Nick, why student rentals?
Well, it's a funny story. When I first started working with Erwin,
Yeah.
I told him right off the bat, I do not want student rentals. I want a nice, simple, single family for the very same reasons. It's a lot of work. Someone damages it. I don't have time to go chasing them down and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And my very first purchase ended up being a student rental.
Just because you looked at the numbers?
Well, the numbers were so good, and this one was a new build, so it was an absolute turnkey. I just had to move. I just had to walk in, and everything was absolutely done for
A
me.
new build?
A new build near Brock University in St.
I do not think I've ever heard of somebody buying a pre-construction, dwelling, a new build, and using that as a student rental. That's kind of interesting.
And it worked out great. And again, it just worked out. Erwin explained it to me. When I found out the quality of other people that were buying houses in that area near Brock University, I ran home, grabbed my checkbook, drove right to St. Catharines, and put down a down payment.
Okay.
And understand the benefit of going through the builder was they finished the basement for us.
So they finished it ahead of time?
Yes.
Okay, so this student rental, we're renting out a couple rooms in the basement as well?
7 rooms in total.
7 rooms?
4 upstairs, 1 on the main floor, and 2 in the basement.
Fantastic.
Also 4 bathrooms.
That's fantastic.
It's great for the students. They never have to wait in line for
And so,
for use of the bathroom.
but that's a particular builder then, right, Aaron? Because not all builders will finish the basement for you right away, will they?
Most won't. Most are too busy for that.
Yeah.
This one was willing to do it.
And did we have to pay him a little bit of a premium to do that?
Oh, no, it wasn't that bad at all.
No.
And also, we got egress-sized windows in the bedrooms in the basement.
So it
it's
didn't
really
feel like,
difficult to do that.
So it
after
didn't
the
feel
fact.
necessarily like
Right.
a basement because there's a lot of light coming in.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's take a look at that. So this is
Sure.
located in St. Catharines.
St. Catharines.
What was the purchase price?
$335,000
$335,000. When did you do this?
a couple of years ago.
So is that the typical? I mean, is that the price, Erwin? Roughly a couple of years ago, $335,000, or it seems like you got a good deal on that?
He did well because just 2 weeks ago I sold the exact same model house for $99,000 more than he paid for it.
You
exact same
sold
model.
2 weeks ago. You sold the same model home in St. Catharines for $100,000 more, basically.
99, but yeah.
$99,000 more. Wow. So you have done well.
I have.
Okay, but the numbers that you're giving me
Are for the first year.
Are for the
and
first
using
year.
a much more conservative 5% increase.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to always be conservative. I want everything to be on the show to be conservative, so that people get inspired by watching. Hey, if these guys can do it, then I can do it as well.
If
So
I can do it, anyone can.
there
trust
you
me.
go. So you bought this property for $335,000. It's an investment property, so you had to put down 20%.
20% or $67,000.
So your down payment was 20% down, which equals $67,000. Okay, what else?
Then I had closing fees and some other ancillary fees of $11,800.
$11,000.
And that was appliances. I provided a sofa and a coffee table, a few little finishing touches before the students moved in.
Okay, great. So then, therefore, we are in for $78,800.
Correct.
$78,800 is what Nick is in for the property out of your pocket. Now, we always say out of pocket, but we know we can borrow $78,000, $80,000, whether it's on a home equity line of credit,
Right.
whether it's on this or that, for basically a couple $100 a month to be able to do that. So I can borrow $78,000 for $3-4 grand a year. Correct?
Correct.
But again, to be very conservative, let's just pretend that you took out $79,000. You spent $200 on a great lunch, and so here you are for $78,800 to be able to get an ROI, which we'll find out in a second. So, return on investment. So we make money. This is brand new, so there's no renovations to do. They've
Right.
already done it for you. So we make money on the property going up. What percent did you use for that property?
I use conservative 5% figure,
Okay.
which translates to $16,750.
And that is very conservative based on the fact that Erwin just said he sold another
Right.
property for $99,000 more. So what that turned out to what?
$16,750.
So what we're doing, folks, at home, is we're taking 5% of the purchase price, and we're saying just by doing nothing, that's how much the value is going to increase in the first year. It increased more than that, but Tom's being very conservative, and we're using 5%. So 5% of this number gives us $16,750. Of course, we have people in there, so they're paying down our mortgage. So we call that debt reduction, principal recapture, my friends at Keyspire call it, just paying down the mortgage. So how much were they paying down the mortgage?
$6,500.
$6,500. So that's about just over $500 a month was going under the mattress
Right.
For you. The rest was going to interest or garbage,
Or garbage.
says Nick. Okay, great. And then the cash flow, which is a nice part of it, student rentals, and I'm sure it looks really nice with 7 tenants.
Sure, and it's great cash flow. I self-manage the property, so my cash flow annually for this property is about $12,600, just
Stop
over
it.
$1,000 a month.
Stop it. Really?
I'm not kidding.
$12,000 you're making on this property.
I am, again, I'm self-managing the property. Because it's brand new, there are no maintenance fees. I budget about $100 a month for incidentals.
Yeah.
But really, even in the last 2 years, there have been very minor things I had to
Fantastic.
spend money on.
So you said what? 12,000?
$12,600.
12,600. Okay, so we have close to 30 grand here. Do you have the numbers added up, or do you want me to use my?
Oh, that's
Calculator.
Yeah, calculator. Might as well use it.
Okay, we'll use the calculator. So here we are, 16,750 for the natural inflation of the property, plus 6,500 for the debt reduction, plus you're making 12,600 for the cash flow. That gives me 35,850. Is that what you have?
Right.
35.
Never argue with a man with a calculator.
There you go. An Indian man with a calculator. There you go. 35,850. So we take that number. We want to divide that by what you're in for. Correct?
Correct.
So we will divide that by 78,800. And what did you have for your cash flow?
45%.
45.4%. That's right. 45%. Annual.
And the great thing I like about this one, Rav, is that the ROI is split over 3 areas. So even if I screw up and something doesn't quite work as planned, I still have 2 other areas. So my cash flow is 16%. So even if for whatever reason I don't do a good job managing my property,
Yeah.
and I don't fill it all year, and I get no cash flow, I'm still making 29% with the other 2 avenues.
That's right.
Or if property values stay flat for a number of years.
Which has nothing to do with you.
Right.
If prices don't go up and you just have the close to $20,000
And I'm still
here.
making 24% ROI.
Yeah.
So I like it because it encompasses 3 different avenues of ROI. And again, if I
Unlike-
mess up on one part, I'm still doing
Unlike
well.
our RSPs or stocks or mutual, there's only one way to win there.
Mm-hmm.
Here we have at least 3 different ways. Margaret was on just before you. She's using a 4th way, forcing the appreciation just because of the renos. So you're absolutely correct. But what I love about I've never heard of somebody buying a brand new property, getting the builder to finish the basement. Now we have 7 units in there, and you're making over $1,000 a month. Fantastic.
it's great. And again, if you would ask me the year before, never in a million years would I thought I would have been managing student rentals.
Yeah.
But again, you put the right plan in place, you have the right team. I self-manage it. I have another student rental. I get maybe 1 email a week, and they're very minor issues. I do get busy in the summer. I do get busy when it comes time to fill it.
Yeah.
But the students are also very flexible, and they work around my schedule. I work full-time, so they'll come and view the property on a weekend when I'm free.
Yeah.
And so it works out really well.
So what's the long-term plan for you?
Long-term plan right now
Are you
is
going to continue to buy more?
I have 2 student rentals in a single-family home, so I'm looking at adding a 4th in the Hamilton Niagara area. We'll see if it's a student rental or it could be a single-family home with an in-law suite, and building from there. Eventually, once the portfolio gets large enough, I will have a property manager manage part or all of it, And then down the road, this is my part of my retirement plan.
That's fantastic.
And the plan is to sell it all and live off the money.
That's fantastic. I mean, Ern, why are more people? I mean, is it because there's not enough great shows like the Everyday Investor on TV? Why are not more people doing this?
I think many people are just too comfortable.
Too comfortable.
Yeah.
They don't know. They don't know how easy it is, right? I mean, there's a little bit of work. We have to be educated because that mitigates risk. But when we have the right team, we do this, and you're saying it's not a lot of work to be able to do this.
No, not nearly as much as I thought. And again, I was one of those people that made up excuses. I didn't start investing in real estate until I was 49 years old.
Yeah.
And then because I always had an excuse not to.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have time.
Well, congratulations.
All
Very
kinds of things.
inspiring.
Thank
So
you.
you're almost 50 years old when you started, and you now have 3 properties.
Correct.
Fantastic. And like I said, and I want the viewers at home to know, this $80,000, $78,800, it doesn't have to come out of your pocket. I mean, if we're going to borrow $80,000, how much does that really cost us, or would you say a year to be able to service that? $7,800. How much is that going to cost?
Around 3,000.
About $3,000. Well, you know, his cash flow is $12,000. His cash flow is $12,000. So really, if I take this number, so he's making, let's say, $36,000 there. Let's take $3,000 out of it. So instead of you making $36,000, you're making $33,000 a year. Okay? Mm-hmm. You're making $33,000 a year. That's your profit, but you're only in for $3,000 a year. So we divide that by the $3,000, and you know, we can't even talk about, you know, I got 1,100% return on my dollar. I mean, it's just infinite, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
If we were to borrow this money. So even using out of pocket about $80,000, you're making almost 50% on your dollar.
Right.
If I were to borrow this money and pay nothing for it, and this is how people, you know, create wealth in real estate. Yeah.
Among our clientele, probably at least 90% or more are using their home equity lines for the down payment.
Home equity lines.
Yeah.
So basically, with a home equity line of credit, Erwin, if I have a house and it's worth $400,000, I'm able, as long as I keep 20% of the money in there, 80, I can take out all the rest, the difference between my mortgage and what's left. If I owned it outright, I can take out $320,000 and use it to invest.
Correct.
Fantastic. Listen, it's great to have you guys on the show, Nick. Thank you so much for,
No problem. My
for
pleasure.
being
Thanks
here.
a lot.
We're watching The Everyday Investor. When we come back, closing thoughts from Erwin on this whole world of real estate investing. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you have any questions pertaining to this show, or there's a topic that you would like covered, please visit www.rogerstv.com. Hey, it's Rav. You've been watching The Everyday Investor. It's been a phenomenal show. We've been talking to Nick, Margaret, and our guest co-host, Erwin, on how to make money in not rent-to-owns, rather. He's very well versed and had him on my show for rent-to-owns, but in student rentals. And it's just been fantastic, Erwin, having you on the show. Thanks for being here. Just a few closing thoughts to the viewers at home, and as well as if they want to learn more, how can they get a hold of you? What would you say?
Best place to start with my website, mrhamilton.ca, mrhamilton.ca. You can email me at erwin at mrhamilton.ca. Yeah, that's how you can reach out to me.
What are your thoughts, your final thoughts, just, you know, in the world of, you know, student rentals?
Yeah.
And
I think it looks really difficult on the outside, understand, like when Nick and Margaret first approached me to do student rental investing, they hadn't done one before or really had that much context behind it. So I want the viewers to understand there are systems behind everything that we do. How we screen tenants, how we advertise, how we write our ads, how we set up our properties, everything. So it's not easy per se, but we know what the answers are to pretty much every question you'll have.
Fantastic. Listen, I look forward to seeing what you're continuing to do, both on the real estate side, family-wise, and then your charity work. So very, very inspiring. Erwin, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. It's been, like I said, a fantastic show. On behalf of Rogers TV and myself, Rav Toor, we'll see you next week, same place, same time. Honey, I love you. I'll be home soon. Ciao, everyone.